Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. This is the Fatback 4, and Liverpool have beaten Aston Villa 3-0 at Anfield today in the Premier League. I'm Gav, and with me I have Emmet, Kev, and Seany to go through it all and to chat about a couple of players, Salah, the international break, and whatever else comes up in the chat. Matt and Chris done post-match after the game today. Okay, the post-matches are all right this season. Last season was a fucking disaster. But this season, they're not too bad, in fairness. But we won't go through every single bit of the game. We will go through the goals and stuff like that. But the lads went through it for an hour or so earlier. So we'll go and look at other stuff, different stuff. Seany, how are you?
Good.
Good form?
Great bit of Barclays today. Roy
Yeah.
Keane and Mika Richards punching the head off some poor soul in the middle of the Emirates as well.
What was that about?
No idea. I'd love context, but it looks like he was getting throttled, to be fair. And that's one Samba I wouldn't want to be part of, to be fair.
Yeah, he was probably robbing something off Roy Keane's lunch plate or something, and he just went for him.
Yeah, Mika Richards looked like he was kind of bleeding bursting, to be fair.
Yeah, I did see the short clip of that, and I was wondering what was going on, but the voice in it was a bit, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But you're in good form anyway, Seany. Are you part of the Kwanzaa Ultras yet?
I started the Kwanzaa
Did you?
Ultras.
Okay. So you're the reason behind the €15 membership fee. Is that what it is?
I'm the reason why Jurgen Klopp is playing, because I'm telling him he's getting his legs taken out if he's not getting minutes when he should be.
Yeah, I think we should all be part of the Kwanzaa Ultras. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Kev, how are you?
I'm really good, really good. Great weekend. If Carlsberg did weekends,
yeah,
watching football, it was kind of like this one. Can't complain, really. I mean, at the end of the day, everything turned up rosy today. You know, that could have been a tricky one. It really could have gone into it. That was a tricky tie. We just made it look easy, made it look routine. And compared to where we were this time last year, night and day the difference.
Yeah.
Night and day.
It is. Emma, nice handy one today. How are you?
Yeah, brilliant. Like Kev said, it could have been a tricky one. We played Villa now twice in our last 6 league games. Second last game of last season, and it was a completely different game. They absolutely bashed us in midfield, and I think it was the exact opposite today. So, yeah. Delighted.
We'll talk about that, because that's one thing I did notice, because we were at Anfield for that. And then to watch that today, like Kev said, night and day, and I think there was one massive reason behind that. But Zachary's making a massive claim here. He says, "No way, Seany. I created the Kwanzaa Ultras. You could be vice president." Zachary opened up against Seany.
I'll fight you for it, Zachary. Drop a pin there.
Drop a pin there. We'll but anyway, look, Liverpool have beaten Villa 3-0. You know, going into the game, there was an awful lot of people out there, Villa fans and, you know, non-Villa fans of other clubs, saying that'll be a tricky one. Villa can get at Liverpool. You know, centre-backs missing, Joe Gomez and Matt have been there, and, you know, Liverpool will be there to be got at. But the lineup itself, you know, we know he's going with those centre-halves. He goes with McAllister, which I think is a big deal, going with McAllister in there, with Jones and Szoboszlai. And then he keeps Nunez in the side after last week at Newcastle. Diaz and Salah either side of him. But when you looked at Villa's team, you looked and you went, they can get at us, because they've Diaby, Watkins, they've some good players. McGinn's starting to break massively from midfield as well. Going into it, were you a little bit? How are you feeling going into it? Because I've spoken to a lot of Liverpool fans who are like, yeah, this one we'll probably have to score 3 or 4 to get out of here with a win.
Yeah, like I said, they put it up to us on second last game of last season. So, and like Emery, I think they're probably going to go deep in that Europa Conference as well. Yeah. Emery's a decent manager. Like, people always look back at when he was at Arsenal, and like probably not the best time to take over, or the best person to take over from. But at all of his other clubs, he's been excellent. Like, he's the king of the Europa League with Sevilla. Like, do you know what I mean? So look, it was going to be. I thought it was going to be tough. Like, people here present and people in the chat are fairly knowledgeable people, and I can tell you that when we did Tripper predictions, a high percentage of people have Aston Villa finishing in the top 6. So they will be a decent side. It was going to be a tricky one, and I was a little bit nervous, if I'm being honest, but I think we passed with flying colours. The team wouldn't have been a whole pile different to what we played second last game of last season either. Maybe Diaby added in there. But they're a solid. They're a solid team. I think I spoke last week saying that there wasn't that many. There's not that much in the way of changes. So they're a team that know each other. We're trying to sort out our midfield on the fly as we're playing. I would say that they're more settled than we are. So I was a little bit nervous going in. I did think we'd win, but I thought it'd be a lot tougher than it was.
Seany, the nerves probably comes from the fact that we haven't got Canate and we haven't got Virgil van Dijk. They're definitely 1 and 2 in the pecking order when it comes to centre halves. So you've seen Joe Gomez, who comes off the bench last week after the sending off, and you've got Matip, who started last week because Canate was missing. And putting them together as a pair, it feels a bit like a League Cup pairing, and that's not to disparage either of them, but that's what it feels like. If there was any nerves to be had before the game, is that where that comes from? Because let's be honest, they haven't played an awful lot of football, A, and they haven't played an awful lot of football together, B.
Yeah, and I think it just comes from like games last season when they were the partnership and it was a bit of a disaster when they played. And look, I've been critical of Joe Gomez, but he's been exceptional the last 2 weeks. But I think the worry probably came from the likes of Diaby and McGinn, who was a clever little fucker, who we've seen that ourselves, who can drop in and occupy spaces, and he can make life difficult for centre-backs by probably dragging you into a space where you don't want to be. And then you have the likes of Diaby and Watkins, who are very, very quick, willing runners in behind, which is the last thing a centre-half wants, is to be getting turned, spun, running towards their own goal and chasing them. And we've seen since they kind of implemented this system towards the back end of last season, that's where we have problems, is in the channels. And when you looked at the lineup, you thought, right, who's shielding the back four, and what's the story with the two centre backs? But I have to be honest with you, Gav, I know early goals change games, but I thought they were about excellent today. Near flawless. Couple of things with Gomez, but it's just them things. The big thing for me is Gomez looks there physically again in terms of going into challenges, and he wasn't pulling out challenges, and he's full-blooded in challenges. And then you see when he gets shifted out the right back towards the end of the game, he was brilliant. Look, I'm not one of, like, I don't have agendas of favourite players, really. Well, I do have a favourite player, and I'm starting to fall in love with Szoboszlai, but and that, I think that's just normal. But I'm not one of these people who would willingly like to see one of the players out of the team. Obviously, we have a preferred 11, but I'd absolutely love if we could get Joe Gomez back to the 1920, 6 months of 1920, imperious centre-back that he was, rapid recovery, very physical, really good on the ball. I think Joe Gomez being in form can only be a good thing for Liverpool, and it would be a good thing in terms of competition in the back line, because competition breeds performance. If you're competitive, you have to be on your game. So I was delighted with how it went with Joe Gomez. I just hope he can stay fit. But obviously, I think any trepidation before the game is kind of like not vindicated, but you can understand why people were, because Villa are a good side. I know they got thumped by Newcastle on the opening day, but that scoreline completely flattered Newcastle. I don't think it was a 5-1 game at all. They were right in the game. They just got caught in the hop. But like that was a tough fixture that today, and I'm delighted it's out of the way.
Yeah,
10 from 12 from them out is a brilliant return going into this international break. And I'd imagine that was probably best case scenario in a realistic way. Klopp was thinking, we go into that international break 10-12. That's really good. You're probably even saying maybe 8 if you draw the 2 away games and win your 2 home games. That's probably par for the course there. But it's been a really good start to the season, and I think that was a proper performance today, where it was controlled from 1 to 90 and the game was managed really well. So it bodes well with the players that we have to come back in, and we seen Trent again affecting the game in an offensive way. which I don't think we've seen this season. I think he was good last week when after the Macedonia 20 minutes that he had. But like I'm like it's shite now because last year the international breaks were like a little shelter.
We couldn't wait for them last year.
We were screaming out for them.
Yeah.
I want Liverpool to be playing 3 games every 3 days at this stage because we're bang at it, and there's so like we've got Gravenberch to come into this team. Bajetic still hasn't got minutes yet. Thiago, I know, has had a setback. Kanate and Virgil to go back in there. Like, it bodes well. It bodes well.
LFC Monty says, I'm not getting hurt by Gomez getting injured again. And he says this while he has Wham, Careless Whisper playing in the background. Fair enough. But Kev, I'm gonna go through some players now. Shawnee's going to touch on Gomez there, and we will touch on him again in a minute. But Kev, I think it was Frank Carlisle in the chat a minute ago said the legs back in midfield is a massive difference, right? Now, when you go back to this game at the second last game of the season, we all come out of that ground saying, him in midfield can't do it. Him in midfield can't do it. Him in midfield can't do it. You know, or what they want to do or what we need to do, they can't seem to be able to go and do it. The midfield that day, I think, was Fabinho, Henderson, Jones, right, at home to Villa. And when you look at our midfield today, right, McAllister for me is everywhere while being understated. Always an option. Always a fucking option, right? You had Jones, who I thought kept the ball really, really well. And I just think your man Szoboszlai is an absolute machine. Going backwards and going forwards. It's a massive difference in midfield, Kev.
I'll be honest, I looked at the 2 starting lineups today, and I looked at Villa and thought, okay, they're going to play 5 at the back. They're going to put 3 in midfield and go man for man in the middle of the park and leave the 2 pace merchants up front and try to hit us that way. When they lined up 4-4-2, we had the numerical advantage in midfield, and you saw how high Villa pressed, how high up the pitch they were. If you had hindsight, today was a masterclass from Klopp. He literally just exposed Unai Emery's tactics, and the midfield 3, playing those 3 ball-playing midfielders, Villa didn't have a clue what to do. If you press them, they'll just pass through you. If they stood off of you, Trent is going to quarterback passes left, right, and centre, and will dominate the ball that way. There was once the game started to evolve, even going 1-0 up, we dominated that game from start to finish, controlled every aspect of it, and it was as near perfect a performance as you're going to see in the way that we played. And if this is how Klopp is going to evolve this midfield, so that you're going to have Endo dropping into the games, into the difficult games where you need a protector, whereas you're playing like those 4 games that we've played so far this season, 3 of those sides will finish in the top 8, I think, and 2 of them are away, and we've picked up 10 points from 12. And you look at that lineup today, we dominated the ball, and we looked better for it. We looked like we were resting on the ball. You know how people we always used to say about Man City, they're always able to play more or less the same side for long periods of time because they rest on the ball. That's what we were doing for the last 20, 30 minutes of that
says
game.
it there. He says retaining possession was also key.
Yeah, it was massive. But it was the comfort that we also, when they wanted to play out from the back, our press, we were inviting them to play in areas and then hitting them. And the amount of times we turned over the ball inside their half to go at them again. And all of that sprung from midfield. The forwards enabled it, but the press from midfield. Bearing in mind that midfield 3, that I think that's the first time they've played together. That's frightening.
Yes, it is the first time they've played together.
That's frightening. How good how the potential that's there. And then when you look at who's not there, look at who's not on the bench today. That bench was fairly reasonable considering who's missing. You know, yeah, I think we're in a stronger position than a lot of people thought we were.
Yeah, it's
going into the season.
Emma, and I don't usually do this, right? But I'm going to let all 3 have a word on this player because after 3 minutes, Dominik Szoboszlai opens the scoring. It's a Trent corner. A lot of people go for it and miss it. and he comes onto it and he catches it beautifully into the ground and skimming and flying into the far corner. Someone in the chat there said, has anybody seen Ian Wright's comments on the Szoboszlai goal? Salah isn't interfering with play whatsoever, so I don't see what the issue is there. But
could have put bleeding 3 keepers in the net and not saving that.
yeah, it's past him before he knows it. But Emma, I'll start with you. One, it's so good to get an early goal because we seen Villa grow into that game at the back end of last season. And I know we could keep going back to that game because it's so close, in proximity to each other. Villa grew into that game, confident, but to get that goal early was huge for everyone. But Jesus Christ, this fella is a player because it's just, to me, he seems to just snap into tackles. And I'm going to say it. Fuck it, I'm going to say it, right? He reminds me of Steven Gerrard, right? Now, I'm not saying he'd ever reach the heights of Steven Gerrard at Liverpool, but when I watched him today, passing, moving, backing things up, snapping into tackles, going past people, tracking people, he is, for me, I'm not saying he's anywhere near Steven Gerrard before anyone jumps down his throat, but he's the nearest to Steven Gerrard I've probably seen in Liverpool's midfield since Steven Gerrard. And I know that's a very high bar to set, but it's just his attributes, Emmet. It's just like perfection for what you want to do in this three in midfield.
Yeah, big time. Legs for day. I think the one thing that kind of stands out for me and probably will, I think with the Anfield crowd, it probably means more to them. You can score as many goals as you want, but with 5 minutes to go, he's chasing down a ball and it just goes out of play.
Yeah.
And he's pissed off that he didn't get to it.
He wins the tackle and runs out of play.
5 minutes to go, and that's, you've seen it all down through the years. As long as you're trying your best, with Robertson, it was when he chased Man City from one end of the pitch to the next, and that was it. He was a fan favourite. They love seeing stuff like that, and that to me today kind of nearly summed them up. But I won't go as far as I know what you're saying about Gerrard, but what I will say is he fills the number 8 jersey, I think, a lot better than the previous person, and I mean already. I think you can see that he deserves that jersey. But what a player. I like the little kind of friendship that him and Trent have as well. You'll see in the kind of the training videos and stuff like that. Both of them over free kicks. They both, I think his what he can do with a ball is I'm not going to say as good as Trent, but there's a reason why he's taking the corners over Trent. There's a reason why he's taking some free kicks over Trent. He can smack a ball there was very little backlift on that goal. It was very similar, and I know a few people have said it already, it was a pure strike. It was like Thiago's strike in the Champions League, except it actually did hit the ground. But again, I think that adds a little bit of zip to it as well. It would have skid off the surface. But I didn't. I was watching it somewhere where some provider is trying to block the football from being watched on certain IPTV things, and it took me a while to get a stream up, so I didn't get the goal until half time. I didn't see them talking. I didn't see Schmeichel and Wright talking about Salah being in an offside position, but somebody said that what's his name, the keeper Martinez, could see around him, had a view of the ball, and that's probably why. I think the one Ake yesterday, he actually steps over the ball, doesn't he? So
it goes in the side netting. Will you give her over Ian Wright? Didn't go on the bleed side net.
I didn't hear them, but you look.
That's it. I just seen
Schmeichel is
but look, don't worry about it. Kev, he just, like, when you see players coming into the club, and he's come in there for £60 million. He's come from Germany, and you're not pinning all your hopes on him, but it was key that we got this midfield right in the signings we made. We needed them, not them all to hit the ground running, but we needed possibly 75% of them to hit the ground running. And like Emmet says, he just fills that jersey where he goes out and goes, without being cocky, he goes around the place like I'm the best player on this pitch. That's what he looks like to me.
Yeah. Look, if you watched him at Leipzig and you watched him playing for Hungary, I think I first saw him when he was playing for Hungary. I think he was about 18. 18, 19 years of age, and you knew he was good. Everything went through him. And when we were in Liverpool, and we all came out, we just all looked at each other and said, Jordan Henderson can't do what he used to do anymore. He can't do what his body needs him to do. And Dominik Szoboszlai is exactly the player we needed, without realizing that he was going to be the one that was going to do it. I had a real worry about his defensive capabilities. He had the physical stature coming into he's a big lad. He's strong, powerful on the ball. He's got a great shot. He gets goals. He gets assists. I was worried playing in a 3-man midfield that he wouldn't be up for the donkey work going the other way. My God, he loves it. He absolutely loves every single bit of it. He loves the tackle. He loves the aggressiveness. The league is made for him. And for £60 million, I think, Seany, you called it in one of the shows, he won't be the most expensive player of the window, but he'll be the best signing that we've made. And I think Alexis McAllister is mustard. Don't get me wrong, but Dominik Szoboszlai has the potential to be world class. He has the potential to be world class player. And the more he plays, the more to his game. There's more strings to his bow that you're seeing. That shot today, he didn't smack it. He didn't try to leather it into the goal or anything. It was on his left foot. He just timed the arse of it. You know what?
Technique.
If you've ever played and you kicked
like a half volley, wasn't it? He kind of used the pace of the ball coming towards him to just meet the ball. And
you know who used to do it all the time now? Szoboszlai would probably fucking hate me for this, but Huddleston used to do it all. That's the way he played for sports. That's the way and that was always a thing. Like when you see youngsters and they're trying to burst the arse out of the ball, you just have to catch it. If you catch it right and you catch it sweet, the ball's travelling. It's gonna go in. The pace is already on the ball. It's just pure technique on a swinger as well. Fuck off.
It was a ridiculous goal. Ridiculous.
Seany, I've left you with the last. Now listen, we've only 37 minutes left in the show, right? So go handy here. Dominik Szoboszlai.
I hate the fucker.
He's gorgeous, isn't he?
Sick of him.
He's 22. He's cut out of a rock. He's a Greek god. He's the lead. He's the captain of his country. He's ripping up the Premier League like he owns the gaff. Like, has he anything going for him?
No.
It's a bleeding joke.
But is he happy, Seany? That's the thing.
Yeah, Is he? I don't even know. I had a look at his missus as well. She's bet down. Honestly, I hate.
I'd say he smokes Rotmans though. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be worried about.
Being honest, fucking hell. Like he looks. The thing with me is like some players just come in and it just looks like water off a duck's back down. That's exactly the way he looks. And on top of being like, we've seen players like him go by for years, and you always kind of get the things like thrown at them like they're a lazy bastard and they don't like doing the hard yards. But that's the thing that surprised me most about him. The fucker was all over the place today. He was tracking back, nicking the ball off their attackers, and he seems to love that, and he doesn't get tired. He doesn't
he's going 94 minutes. He's still going.
And I seen them saying it about. I think Jota said it about him, saying like he doesn't tire. He doesn't tire at all. I think this is an absolute a major, like not a major fine by Liverpool, but it was a big coup because with De Bruyne being out, if Liverpool had a dawdle on that, like this fella was the natural success at De Bruyne. Yeah. I know you're comparing him to Gerrard.
No, someone in the chat actually says he feels a bit more like De Bruyne than Gerrard to me. I'm making the Gerrard comparison because of the way he goes around the pitch in a Liverpool jersey.
It's the mad thing, yeah. Like no, Gerrard had the big, real, the big, long, powerful strides, and he just burst through. But the thing with Szoboszlai is, even when it's in a tight space, he seems to maneuver real well out of challenges. Like he gets out of the way, and then boom, he just has that. Honestly, he's
got a great trick, hasn't he? He's just got a trick to be able to drop the shoulder and go either side. He can go left and right.
Like the same would be like a perfect 10, but like in every sense of the word. But he's proven to be like just for this system. Like everything, it's starting already to kind of revolve around them. And in terms of that delivery, you can whip a ball into the box all day, but he has that real flat delivery. It's like, do you ever see the way like teams struggle to defend throw-ins because of the trajectory of the ball, and it's a real the plane, the way the ball travels. It's hard to defend. It's hard at the rate. Maddison does it really well, and Szoboszlai does it really well, where they just slice the ball, and it's just the sort of thing where is any touch with the pace on the ball, it's just he's ridiculous, and I just I want to watch him playing again now in 3 days. I don't want to have to fucking
wait 2 weeks.
Look on. Yeah, I don't want to be looking at hungry highlights and all. I don't whatever. Fair play to you now, but just I'm flabbergasted by this fella.
Yeah,
he's a handsome pig as well.
Yeah, he is. He's decent looking, in fairness to him. But the thing is, that flat delivery you speak about, and he has kind of not taken over, but he's on an awful lot of free kicks and corners. The thing with the flat delivery is, like you said, you can in swing something, but when it's when it goes up in the air and it's come back down, it gives players a chance to read it and head it. And when it's flat, it actually gives you less time to react. You know what I mean? You're in danger straight away because it's not curling and you're kind of going on meter here. It's flat and it's flying in, and it's just another string to his ball. I think the biggest thing with him is going forward. And I'm seeing it already, actually, in just little snippets of games. The fear factor is already in there with him, and you get that with De Bruyne. When De Bruyne gets on the ball, you want to go and try to get it off him, and he'll kill you. You know what I mean? Or you stand off and you think, well, I try, cut out pass lanes, and he'll kill you. And I'm seeing that with Szoboszlai already because he nearly gives players a look at the ball, and then they go, I'm gonna buy, and when they go to buy, he's just gone buy you. Good luck, I'll see you later. He's gone inside you, outside you, and like that, when he gets it out of his feet, he's going to hurt you, even if he gets it wide. And he likes pulling into that kind of nearly right back position at times, and then start and play from there. But I just thought he was absolutely brilliant today. So I wanted to have a good chat over him. Kev, I'll come to you first on Darwin Nunez, because he plays a major role in the second goal. He keeps his place in the team. It's a brilliant ball from Trent. Trent's given way too much time today on the ball by Aston Villa, who are just caught between, do we press, do we stand off? But he puts Salah down the right. It's a good flick inside. Darwin Nunez, it's a great effort. It hits the foot of the post, and it goes in off Matty Cash. But just a word on Darwin Nunez, because we all talk about the chaos and everything he brings, but I thought that was a really good centre forward performance from him today. His movement, his link up. He doesn't snatch at that chance when he hits the post. It's just a really good strike, and an inch the other way, and it's in. As much as last Sunday was brilliant, I think seeing him progress, and I know it's only one game, but seeing him progress today into a centre half that's bullying centre back, or centre forward that's bullying centre backs and making those runs and the links and stuff like that, I think it's really impressive. It's something where you feel like he's going to explode, Kev.
The way he played today, he was always a threat, whether it be in behind or coming short with the link-up play. Remember a thing in WWE from years ago, controlled aggression. And that's what it was. He was controlled today. Everything that he did off the ball was a plan. Mainly the way we pressed. He was a leader in a lot of it. And he followed others when they all went together. He knew exactly where to be. He knew exactly what to do. And when the balls he was looking for Trent, him and Moore were making the run all the time. That run for the goal, the three of them were in the line and the three of them went. It was like Trent's got the ball, the trigger to go. And they all went. They trusted that eventually the ball was going to come. And another day that goes in. And his performance today warranted a goal. But at the same time, I don't think he could have done any more. He'd done everything bar score today. And if you're a centre half, he must be a nightmare to play against. Now, I don't think Pau Torres is a poor player by any stretch. I think he'll get used to the league. He'll be a good player. Not Kwanzaa, sorry. What's his name? The other centre back that played started right back. Ezri Konsa. A lot of people wanted us to be going in for him. Start of the season. They're good players. They're not outstanding world top players, but they're very good centre backs. Terrorised them. They didn't know what to do with him. Do they follow him in deep? Do they look to play him behind, look to play the offside trap? And he timed everything. I don't think he was caught offside. I don't think he was caught offside once today. And for how much Villa compressed that game, you could throw a blanket over 20 yards with how much Villa compressed that between midfield and forwards. For him to be able to time runs the way he was timing them, it only bodes well. Apparently, he'd been having long discussions with Bielsa about where to run, how to run, what to do. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. It wouldn't be a surprise if if people have been in his ear, whether it's Klopp, the coaching staff, Bielsa, and he's taking all this in, looking at his own game and refining it. And now that he's got his chance, he's almost got to say, going to get to the stage where it's my shirt, drop me if you dare. And that's the way he has to be. He has to be greedy once you've got the shirt. Say, look, if you want someone to play the Premier League games, I can do the Premier League games. I can be a threat. I can cause havoc. I can score goals. If you want me to play the Europa League games, get your head down and force your way back into the side that way. But I think we've got a player who can play the 9 in a different way to anyone else. I think all of our forwards are unique in their own way. They all can offer different things to the way that we want to play. But he's unique. He's got real pace, real strength, real power. And the finishes that he tried today, he didn't even try to leather that one that went off the post. That was a difficult finish, and it was that close. And on another day, like I said, that goes in. I'm really happy with him. He wasn't outstanding, but he was very good. The
best thing for me about him was
go on.
Best thing for me about was, like, I think the criticism you could have with Darwin is if he's not scoring goals, what is he giving you? Like last season, and he'd be nicking goals. But I thought his general play was much better as well today. The little one, the giving goals, and he wasn't fucking running around like a dog with two Mickeys. He was going, he was pressing with the triggers, and he was cutting off passing lanes from the keeper. And some of his touches into the wingers was very good as well. He's reminding me more of Torres the more I see him. Fernando Torres. Torres used to love that little give and go and playing off the shoulder. And he's directly involved in 2 goals today. But, like, this fella just needs a chance. Again, said it last week, he's a kid. He's a kid. He's still very much learning the league and his own game. But he has every single tool you need as a striker to succeed. He's paced the one. I think he's quicker than a lot of people realise.
Oh, he's ridiculously fast.
And he's strong. And he can finish. He does have that. Like, he's very unlucky with that dink off the bar today.
Yeah,
that's an unbelievable bit. That's an unbelievable bit of skill. That's not something that someone who can't finish does.
Yeah,
he just doesn't get that little bit of luck. And I actually think he's getting a bit of stick for the one from Mo that's playing in Mo. But that's a difficult one because it's behind him and his body's at a mad angle. I
think there was a touch on that, and that's what he was going with his foot.
I won't lie to you. I was worried about Darwin coming into this season, and it was more of a case of him needing to perform, and not he needs to perform. But I'm actually not worried about him anymore because I see it already in him, the difference in terms of being in front. It didn't fall him. It didn't happen today. But you've seen him when he's not scored and he's gone off the pitch, but he went off the pitch with a smile on his face today because he knew he contributed.
Massively. He gets the assist for the Salah goal as well.
Yeah, he's growing into the side, and I was just delighted that he started today because I was worried that Klopp would have probably went with Gakpo today, despite Darwin's 2 goals last week. But he rewarded him with a start, and I think he took the chance, and that's all he can do now going forward. And again, I'm just fucking sick that it's an international break. I want to watch this fella playing football every 3 days.
Emma, a lot has been made over Nunez. In fairness, anyone that can find a negative thing to say about him have done, and they just keep calling him a £100 million striker and stuff like that, to suit any narrative that's out there. But what I would say is that little inklings have come out over the last while that Klopp has no problem with his forward play. It's the other side of the game that he has the problem with. And I'd actually argue Darwin Nunez is the architect of how we got at Villa today, because he triggers. I think he triggers an awful lot of that press on Aston Villa today. And again, that's another sign of working with him. You know, getting him to understand things. You know, because you have to, like Seany says, he comes into that team last season. It's a big price tag, regardless of what way you look at it. He's coming into a new league, a new language. He scores 15, 16 goals last season, but you could see at times that's why he was Mr. Chaos, because he was like playing his own game, you know, the sort of way. Yeah. Whereas we rely heavily on that centre forward to be the mastermind behind the press. But when you see it today, early on, he knows as soon as someone gets a bum, I'm on him. And he was going and making sure the whole team was coming with him. And look, Villa were all over the shop, but that side of his game was really impressive today as well.
Yeah, I think he's all round game. When he first came in, I think he probably felt that he had to, coming in with a price tag, he had to be the main man. He had to be the one that was scoring all the goals. And I think what he's realised now between last season and this season is that he doesn't necessarily have to be scoring all the goals. It's his overall contribution to the game. Like, so I agree with Seany. Like, some of his link-up play, that one kind of flick around the corner for Diaz, and then I think Kamara pulls him down on the edge of the box. Like, it's just his kind of, he's moving the ball a lot quicker. He's not kind of settling on the ball. He tries one or two things that don't come off today. And look, you said anybody that said that negative about him has. Stephen Warnock is just another one of these. He was on co-coms on whatever channel I was watching it on today. He seems to be another one of these ex-Reds that just seems to hate Liverpool. Like, and he had one bad touch, and he said, "Oh, that's the thing about Darwin Nunez." It was very similar to what somebody said about him last week. That's the thing about Darwin Nunez. That's the thing that he needs to improve in his game. Yeah. But I mean, literally a few minutes beforehand, he was moving the ball really quickly. We don't get our second goal if it's not for Nunez. People are making an awful lot of this. He hit the post, or he couldn't hit a barn door, and all this kind of stuff. Like, we always say that one of Suarez's best possible goals was against Arsenal. That came off the post. I mean, you don't shoot, you don't score. Like, do you know what I mean? And look, I think he scored one. Was it last season against Brentford, where it went off the inside of the post, and wide? I think came back across the goal. So look, he's there. He's getting into the scoring positions. I think the one from Salah, I think that actually takes a slight touch off somebody. So that's why he was going to volley it and ended up heading it. And anybody that's played football has been in that position where you don't know whether to head it or kick it, and you end up looking the way Nunez looked today doing that. But in terms of his overall play today, I think he looked a hell of a lot more comfortable in his surroundings. Yeah. More a part of the team rather than being just this lone wolf up front trying to score goals. Whether that's down to, like Kev said, Bielsa or whatever, he just seems to have settled a little bit more this season than he did last season. And look, he's got previous. He did it at Benfica. He had 6 or 7 goals in his first season and then absolutely exploded the next season. Some lads just they're not all going to be Szoboszlai who just comes in and owns the place within a few games. Like, do you know what I mean? So I really like him. I thought his overall game today was absolutely excellent. Seany's right as well. He's going off the chance of Nunez. Look, he's probably always going to go off even when he has bad games. That's just the way the crowds are. But he went off kind of content with his performance. He's had 4 goal involvements in 2 games. Like, what more can you ask from him?
Yeah. No, look, he scores 2 last week. He hits the post this week and it goes in, and then he gets the assist for the Salah goal. So
I think the dink that went onto the crossbar actually gets a touch off Martinez as well, if I'm not mistaken. He actually touches it onto the crossbar.
But the link-up play, the pressing, it was like, come here and tell you, if that's Ollie Watkins, and Ollie Watkins has that performance today, and he goes off at Villa Park, people are going, what a performance from Ollie Watkins today, contributing to Villa. Like, just call it as it is. It's a really good performance. You can't take it in. You can't, go into every minute detail and go, oh, he had a bad touch there. Oh, that's Darwin Nunez for you. Like, that's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? That's like anybody taking a bad touch and going, oh, he's out of form. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're brilliant footballers, but they all can't have every touch perfect. You know what I mean? You have to look at it as a whole and go, pressing, really good. Link up, really good. Gets in front of goal, good shot. Right? If you wanted to be really thinking, you go, could he not have got it right on target? But it's the base of the post. Do you know what I mean? It's millimetres. The header for Salah's goal, really good. It's hacking it really well, getting it into a good position. You know, so overall, he comes off, and Darwin Nunez has a good game. Why people have to try bend the narrative on this is madness. He just had a good game. You know what I mean? He could have a shy game next week, and we'd be sitting there going, he was shy this week. But I'm not going to say that's him now done for the season. He's just shy. They all do it. Do you know the sort of way? But look, he does get the assist for the Salah goal, and you know we've gone through a couple of players there. One last player before we go, and if there's anyone else you want to mention that you feel I've missed, you can throw them in after this. One last player I want to mention before we go in, I want to have a little chat about Salah. Is Kwanzaa. All right, he comes on again today, and I know Villa aren't at the races really. I know Liverpool are in control of the game. But Seany, I'll come to you first. I didn't even notice it was him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't standing going, he's standing out like a sore thumb here at the back, and we're going to have to protect him for 20 minutes or whatever it is. He went in there and he just defended and passed the ball. And my highlight of the game is when on about 81 minutes, he just intercepts one, bursts out of the back and just pings one down the left side for, I think it might have been Robertson or Jota. And I went, Jesus Christ, this fella is confident as well. I'm right behind just giving him as much chances as we can, Seany. I really, really am.
As am I, Gav. I think, look, young centre-halves, like, for example, when Gomez burst onto the scene at Liverpool, one of the main things you could throw at him is there was times when it looked like he was afraid and didn't want the ball. He'd be grand in one-on-one defending, but Kwanzaa's always dropping, making an angle, making himself available. Not afraid to run the ball. He can ping the ball. His distribution is very good. His passing into midfield is crisp. And you only have to look at him. You say you didn't notice him. I noticed him. He's a unit.
No, I mean, I didn't notice him where this is a young fella coming on, going, we have to protect him. That's what I mean.
It looked like there was no impact.
Yeah, it's just he's in there, he's a centre-half. He's grand.
Yeah, he's an absolute unit. He's an absolute unit. Fucking a huge talent. Like, a big talent. We all wanted for Liverpool to spunk 70 million on Colwill, and if we had the opportunity tomorrow, I would do it because Colwill is brilliant. But this young player has every single attribute you want centre-half to have. I can say the exact same thing about him as I do about Darwin. He's a big presence. He reads the game well. He's got pace, and he can play the ball. He's made for this Liverpool system, and that was the whole idea of thinking we went into this season short. And I agree with what Kev said at the start of the show that, like, people probably will be looking at it. I know it's a couple of results and it's early days, but you'd be looking at the squad, the makeup of the squad, going, do you know what? We actually might be okay in terms of the type of players that we have. I understand people would have trepidation with Matip and Kanate's injury history and Gomez, but I'm just delighted that Klopp is giving them minutes. And it doesn't look like a token thing because he throws him on against Newcastle last week in the heat of the battle. But he brings him on today again. He obviously trusts him. He obviously rates him. It's not the highest blatant benchmark to get from a professional, but Joey Barton managed him last year at Bristol and basically said if he keeps his head on his shoulders, he's going right to the top. He's going right to the top of the game because
Chris Golding says Seany's going to have writer's cramp on this Valentine's Day. Come here.
I've had people say worse about me, but honestly, he looks the part. He really does look the part. And again, he's probably, I think he's the captain of the under-20s England. I think he might be. But look, I think sky's the limit for this lad. And again, just if you want to look at silver linings, a Europa League campaign is going to do this kid the world of good because he's going to get so much football and experience it all different ways that this young fella will have a lot of football under his belt by the time he's 22, 23. So, yeah, long story short, I think Kwanzaa is going to save Liverpool a small fortune in the near future.
Colin says if Quansah played for Palace or someone like that, would be crying for someone like him. Klopp seems to really back him. Look, there was people last week saying, he brought on Quansah against Newcastle because, look, he was trying to show what he needs a centre back and stuff like that. One, Jurgen Klopp isn't going to do that in a game where it's in the balance and you're down to 10 men if he doesn't believe in the player. And two, he's not going to do that to a young player and use him as a pawn in a game. He's just not going to. He's too much respect for the players he has in the squad. We know this. We've seen it so many times over the years. Even when players are being unfit or, not available or having bad time, Klopp would always back them. He would never do something like that to a young player. And he could have easily left him off the pitch today. He could have easily left him off the pitch and said, you know what, I'm going to put, I think Doak was on the bench, was Bajcetic on the bench. We could have brought them in, but he didn't. He put him in again. And I think we talk about forward planning an awful lot. You might not see him for 3 games now, but he's given him a taste, and then he lets him go off. And I would absolutely have him in that Europa League and saying, listen, you're playing the Europa League. I'm playing you. I don't care who we're fucking playing. You're playing. Those group games. And the group is fairly kind to us as well. Emmet and Kev have a player each because they've both been mentioned in the chat. Emmet, Andy Robertson. I thought he had a brilliant game today. Yeah. I thought he was really good defensively. Really sharp going forward. When he got it, he was really hitting Diaz. Like, bang, there you go and do your thing. And I was delighted for him because I think when things don't go well in this team, I think people naturally look to, Andy Robertson doesn't fit that left side of thing, but today I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, no, he was like the old Andy Robertson, up and down, and he's forming a kind of an understanding with Diaz. With Diaz being out for so long, obviously they haven't been playing together. And there was maybe one wayward pass today, but overlapping, getting balls into the box. It's 1920. Robertson seems to be back. Just needs to start getting a few assists now to be properly back. But it was great to see him bombing up and down the wing as well. But he got a little bit of help from, like, Jones has gone somewhat unmentioned, and I think he probably did go through the game unmentioned as well. But that doesn't mean that he didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
I said last week.
I thought he retained it brilliantly.
Yeah, he did, but that's what he does. And I think I think I said at one point today, watching it on TV, I couldn't figure us out, and I was watching it from a height, perfect camera angle. You can only imagine what it was like to be Aston Villa today. It was like the red arrows. It was like who's where. Like, Szoboszlai was on the left 1 minute, he was on the right the next. They seem to be switching, and I don't know whether it's can we look forward and think to ourselves, like when it was Milner, Henderson and Gini, who was actually the number 6? Did we class any of them as the number 6? We didn't really.
If you had them 3 playing, it would have usually been Henderson.
Yeah, but there was no kind of. So we seem to be kind of obsessed with this. We need a number 6. We need a number 6. Why can't it be a fluid in there? And I think that's probably where Gravenberch's coming in as well. Like, we know that McAllister can do it. We know that Endo can do it. I think Szoboszlai could probably do it as well. It's whoever's there does it at the time. But it just today, it seemed nobody had a set position. Everybody, well, I suppose McAllister probably, and obviously the backs. But in terms of the midfield, you just didn't know where the next attack was coming from. We're absolutely unbelievable going forward. And I've spoken on here before about when it was Firmino, when it was Mane and Salah, and you didn't know which one of them was going to pop up where in the box. And it just felt a little bit back to being like that today, but it actually involved the midfield as well.
Yeah, I just think it's the legs in midfield. I genuinely do. Once you have that mobility and you're known, and when everyone is tuned into each other, so it's not fragmented where a couple are going and then you're leaving that number 6, open to 2 and 3 running at them, which we have done last season. Everything seemed to be tuned to when we
weren't even getting as far as the 6.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But this is what I always bang on about this. When Liverpool are in tune, they hit you up high, and what you're left with is a percentage ball into midfield or a percentage ball down the channel, and our 2 centre halves will eat you alive, or our midfield will just make sure we get it. You know what I mean? And you're seeing loads of that. Even late in the game today, Harvey Elliott comes on. He late in the game, and bang, they were on top of fellas and winning it back 15 yards inside Villa's half, and then turn and look to play. And that's when Liverpool are at their best. When they're tuned in and they make you play percentages. And they know they're winning them percentages. That's where they are. And I thought Robertson was excellent.
There was a point in the first half today that Villa couldn't get out of their half. We read the game. The midfielders read the game unbelievably. The ball was arriving at a Villa midfielder, and we were taking her off their toe. We were coming in from behind them and taking her off their toe, and there was another attack. Today, I think that's probably, and I'm not losing the run of myself. I've not had a drink. I think that's probably the best I've seen us play at home. Probably in 18 months, I'd say.
Yeah, even including United.
Yeah,
but they're dirt, like.
Yeah, I would. I would.
Yeah,
In terms of playing as a team,
complete performance. Yeah,
exactly. I think that's probably the best. Probably since just before AFCON.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
The thing is, like the need for, like we've all become engrossed in this number 6 defensive midfielder thing in the last, and it's just the way we've kind of been made to think. But the need for an out and out number 6 is heavily negated if you have midfielders who are all willing to walk back and who are all capable of looking after the ball. If you have control of a game, you don't need someone like a Fabinho. Now, in the bigger games, you will need him away from home. Yeah. It is going to be a necessity. But for games like today, it was the perfect setup because they all looked after the ball and they all did their job. And I'll parrot what Emmet said. I was going, who's playing where here? But in a good way. It was organised chaos on their end, and they were kind of going, well, what's fucking going on here? And then you could clearly see today at times it was the box midfield where Trent was going into the middle and it was a back three when we were in possession. So, again, like, horses for courses, a big thing for me is if you're going to go far in this league, you're going to need more than one system. We won the league playing that one system. We won that, but you're going to need different approaches for different games. And I think Klopp is figuring that out. And none of it, we've talked about players here to no end on the shows the last couple of weeks. But again, I think Klopp and his changes, absolutely spot on. And it's something where he's markedly improved because it's something that I kind of howl against Klopp since he's come in, that it is his substitutions didn't always positively affect the game. And look, he's a manager won't always make the right changes, but he seems to be getting it right now a lot more than he has previously. Like, fucking, I thought Elliott was brilliant. Like, Elliott has blown my mind.
Yeah, you said this to me a few times.
He's like a completely different player since he's come back. He's rapid getting around the place, and he's a little terrier. But it looks like that he's kind of gone now. Klopp has gotten the boy in by all of the players who probably seen himself as a wide player or a more attacking midfielder. I think McAllister's the type of fella, if you tell McAllister to stay back and pick up the fucking tape in the dressing room, he would. He just seems like an honest fella. You do want, you tell him. But they're all buying into the job that they have here for the greater good. And it seems to be working. Like, again, like we're talking about Curtis and hardly being mentioned. I remember stuff people used to call Genie Wijnaldum Genie Invisible. And then you'd be like, yeah, he might be invisible, but we're fucking 13 points clear at the top of the league. And it's because of players like him in the side. And that's what you want. You're not going to get lads pulling up trees every week the way Szoboszlai done. The famous Shankly quote is, you need one piano player and 10 fellas to carry it. And Klopp is getting the boy in again. He said that this is the first time where I looked today going, right, this is fucking Klopp 2.0. This is a different Liverpool team. There's reason to be optimistic here. We're causing chaos. All of our forward, Mo doesn't even have to be at his best and we're winning games at a canter. And I think that's a big thing for me, that you can actually kind of see now where there's a system there There's players willing to walk in it. And it looks like to me, every single person knows what their job was. And to be honest with you, I don't think that was the case last year. And it's easier when you're winning games, but everyone will improve markedly now because you're playing in a team that has structure, cohesion, and you're getting results. The worst thing for new players coming in to do is you feel like you're coming in to you're town about on your own back when everyone now is moving in the same direction, and it's made it much easier for these lads coming in. Like again, people saying didn't notice McAllister today. He was fucking brilliant. He was just getting everything together, doing everything he had to do. Quietly brilliant. That's what you want. Quietly effective. I would
I
rather my
think
players be effective than eccentric. 10 points out of 10. Because you'll have someone like Bruno who'll run around pinging crosses in the box all day. But he probably would have fucking turned over possession 15 to 20 times beforehand. You control wins your games. I thought we would have had to outgun Villa today, like a lot of people, but we didn't because we were brilliant to a man all over the park. And you've Gravenberg coming in here who could fucking be anything from what we've seen based on the player that we've seen at Ajax. He could be absolutely anything. And you're seeing that coming out now about all of the Bayern coaches going, the kid did absolutely nothing wrong in his time at Bayern Munich. He was just coming in where there was a bit of trepidation in the backroom staff with Tuchel, and he couldn't fit him in. And there's the politics of the likes of Goretzka and Kimmich having to play every game. So you're coming in, and again, someone nobody even touched on Luis Diaz, much fucking better, much better. They're all going up levels again, Gal. And the best thing for a team to be is hard to play against, and we look like we were difficult to play against today for the first time in a long time.
I think something Klopp said in pre-season was he feels that the first 4 to 6 games of the league season is part of your pre-season, and I think he's managed it brilliantly. I think, we're talking about the subs, and I think, we know, and we've done it on this channel, where you go, he seems to make these subs and they're kind of going, what's going on? But to me, it looks like he's basically got them all together and went, listen, this is how we want to play. So if we can all get in tune on how we want to play, it doesn't really matter who I bring on or who I fucking start, because you all know what you're doing. And then you see, and the benefit of that is that when you get a Harvey Elliott coming in, or a Jones comes in today, or Nunez comes in instead of Gakpo, or whatever it might be, they all know what they're doing. And I think that's what he's worked on. I think it's fallen really well for him, because I think he's treated these. I'm not saying he's treated the 4 games like pre-season, but he has in the back of his head about minutes and legs and being at the optimum and stuff like that. And the fact that they're all in tune on what they need to do, and he's able to then go, you're off after 60, you're in. And we seem to. It's not like we bring players on and we kind of go, oh, that's the game over, nothing will really happen. We actually just go up another level again. And the energy comes into the team again, and it goes. I think they've worked it brilliantly over the first 4 league games. The amount of minutes they've given to everyone, how players have dropped in, come out. Some of them enforced, like with sending offs or whatever. But I think over the first 4 games, I think it's been brilliant. Kev, last player before we get out of here. And people have asked in the chat, can you talk about Everton or United? Tune in tomorrow night, winners and losers. I'm nearly sure Everton and United will get a mention tomorrow, 10 o'clock. But Kev, Seany mentioned it there, and I mentioned it earlier, but McAllister plays that deeper role, and I just thought he was, every time a player got the ball, McAllister was like, I'm here if you want me. And he just took a touch and passed it, ping, 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 ping. Didn't have to do loads, but he just ticked us over all day and gave other players a chance to go and express themselves. I thought he was excellent.
Reminded me an awful lot of Luka Modric. That safe pair of hands in the middle of the park, who was always... He was always available. He always made himself an option, comfortable on the ball, didn't mind taking it with players around him. He's a proper centre mid, bearing in mind that when he started his career, he was a striker. And then he was a second striker, then a centre, like number 10. And he looks like he can do it all. He just looks like a proper old-school footballer. If you're looking at... today, looking at that 11 and said, yeah, this is kind of as close to an Ajax total football 11 as you're going to see in that midfield 3. That's what it was. He can do it all. He's got a bit of snide about him when he needs to, and he's got the technical brain to see stuff that other people can't see, and he's got the heart and the engine to do it all day long. When I've talked to Joe from Albion Obsessed a few times about him, he just said, "You will love it. You have no idea what he's going to do for you as a player. He's all heart. He'll give everything for the shirt, and he'll leave nothing behind." And it must be a manager's dream, because Klopp would have told him, right, this is what your job is. We're going to, and the way that Klopp tweaked the system again today for Trent inverting into that centre midfield position next to him. He did it from centre back today and kept the back four together as a little bit longer, so that if it did break down in midfield, there was a back four to get through. So that little extra tweak allowed Trent to come onto the ball from a deeper position, facilitated by the space that McAllister was able to create with the angles that he offered off the ball. It's all like a jigsaw that comes together, and I can't wait to see how this side evolves, because the players that are to come back into it are technically really good footballers as well. Gravenberch, we'll see. There's not an awful lot of body of work from him from his days at Bayern, but you're judging it off what the ceiling is with him from what he did at Ajax, and the schooling, the education, the football education he'd have had at Ajax. He's got to be another option who can do exactly the same thing again. It's just we're stacking the middle of the park with footballers, who can do it all, and they all look like good eggs. They all look like they'll run for days, great engines, but a brilliant brain. And I think there's definitely room to be optimistic about what we can do for this season. There really is.
There was one piece with McAllister today where they were trying to get Szoboszlai on the ball on the right side of midfield, second half, and you could see them looking. Gomez has a couple of looks to try to get it to Szoboszlai, and he realised it's being cut out. I don't know who it was off Villa, but there was one Villa player kind of doing the doggies, and McAllister's watching, and he gets the ball and just knocks it off 2 or 3 times, and then actually positions himself closer to this player that he want out of the way to get Szoboszlai on it. And as soon as it's pinged into me, he knows this fella's biting, and he just hits Gomez, where then Gomez goes bang into Szoboszlai, and I went, yeah, that's. I was watching it unfold in front of me. I could see him constantly looking at this fella, and he just he received the ball 2 or 3 times, but kept edging his way towards this guy as if to say, come on and bite. And as soon as your man took a step towards him, he just pinged it in. He just knocked it off the Gomez, who gave it to Szoboszlai, and Liverpool went away and played. And that's the sort of intelligence you need, and that's the sort of control you need.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a reason why Thiago's kept around for a year. Because honestly, Klopp obviously really respects Thiago as a player and a professional to keep him around, because we see him with Hendo and Fabinho. It looked like to me conversations were had with them two boys, and they basically felt we're better off out of here. And Saudis came in for Thiago, and Thiago apparently had a conversation with Klopp and was like, no, I'll stay and I'll play the last year, because Klopp knows what them boys will be learning from Thiago in training. Because forget about the Thiago that's come in, look, the injuries or whatever. Think about his, like Kev was saying, the body of work Gravenberch has. We haven't got a lot to go off. Think about the player Thiago was before he signed for Liverpool. He's arguably the best deep line 6 of his generation. People would tell you that. One of the most technically gifted footballers Liverpool have had on their books. The stuff that Jones, Bajetic, Elliott, McAllister, even Szoboszlai, Gravenberch will learn from him in training is priceless. Because and it will stand to them, and you will see like that. I know the part of the game you're talking about today. It was just clever, and it's one of them things that looks so simple in theory, but it's really fucking difficult to execute, because it's football at the highest level, and it's in-game intelligence where you're saying, if I can't get on the ball here, I need to figure out a way I can affect the play and get Szoboszlai open, or give Gomez an option. And I thought people were digging out Kev for saying that the Modric comparison is absolutely fucking perfect. Now, he might not be technically as gifted as Modric, But for me, Modric's best attribute was constantly being available for the ball. Whereas, and I'm not digging him out. He's gone now, and whatever way it worked out, it worked out. There was times when I was watching Henderson, even in a peak Liverpool, and he's hiding behind his marker because he doesn't want the ball. And it's literally just because he doesn't feel comfortable receiving. Henderson didn't feel comfortable receiving the ball everywhere. The four boys, include Trent at times, I'll go to three boys, Jones, Szoboszlai and McAllister. They have that one skill where they're happy to take the ball anywhere and trust their ability to turn and find space. And playing with players like McAllister as a midfielder just makes your life so much fucking easier. And that's why you can't overstate how important he's going to be to this team moving on.
I think it was a big statement to put him in there today in a game where people thought Villa's midfield might get a lot of joy out of us, and it would have been easy to put Endo in there, and he doesn't. And I think, we've banged on about this 6 all the time, and is Endo your starting 6? Maybe McAllister is. Maybe he's going down this route where he goes, listen, and it's all down to what happens in front of him. If they're tuned in front, there's loads of protection there for anybody that wants to play deep. But look, we have to run because we're over time. But before we go, we've heard all this stuff during the week, and we won't go too heavy on it. But we've heard all this stuff during the week with Saudi Arabia, Salah, 150 million. Liverpool said no, and they said, okay, listen, we'll ring you back in a half an hour with a new bid, which I thought was great. They must have ran out of credit or something. But this window doesn't close in Saudi until Friday, I don't think. I think it's Friday. So we've 5 more days of this shit. But Emma, you first. Do you think anything comes of this? Szoboszlai is quoted today as saying, I've spoken to Salah, he wants to stay, he's with us, he's staying with us. There's no problem there. So I was delighted to see that. But do you think there's anything in this? Because I'm not taking no amount of money.
I think the offers are there, obviously. I think offers were by telephone. It's not really the way. I'm sure that's not the way transfers are done. But if they really wanted them, if they really wanted to test their metal on Salah, the offer would have come in earlier in the window. There's not a hope in hell that we were going to let him go on the days leading up to the transfer window closing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't give you enough time to. It doesn't give you enough time to replace him. I wouldn't want to replace him. Salah sees out his contract with Liverpool. He's still make $1.5 million a week to go and play in Saudi Arabia. I think Salah is so bored of breaking other people's records that he started to break his own. I think he broke one of his own records today. I think he's driven more so by records and goals than money. He doesn't strike me as a money kind of person. I know he got his money increased to 350 with us, but look, he was well worth it. Now, I see him seeing out his contract with us, unless an absolutely ridiculous amount comes in January or next summer. You wouldn't begrudge him. He's the most famous Muslim footballer in the world.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say on it is, and it touches on what you've said there, Salah wants to play in the big games. He wants to play in the big games. He wants to be the biggest player in the big games. He wants to win the big things. You know what I mean? And he's not going to do that in Saudi Arabia. He's going to go over there into half-empty stadiums. It's pub fucking football, and he gets all that money. But I think Salah wants, he wants to walk away with, these memories of him. Do you know what I mean? And I don't have an issue with it if a bid come in next summer, and he's 32 or whatever he is, and they go, listen, we're giving you 150, 200 million. You go, fine, but at least Liverpool know what's coming, and they've 12 months to sort out whether that's going sign, I don't know, Jared Bowen or whoever you fancy down that side, right? But I've no problem with that. But I'm not taking any amount of money in the next 5 days. The knock-on effects are just a joke. If you don't make top 4, what you lose, you know what I mean? It's just the knock-on effects of 250 million sounds great, right? But the knock-on effects of what could happen if he's not in the team and where we could end up, it actually negates it. And then then you're in a market where people still think you've 250 million, and you're going to be absolutely screwed with regards to trying to sign someone.
I think we'll forward plan to say, look, if it's a case that there's an offer there next summer, we will accept it next summer. But I think we need to have got our business out of the way first before allowing him to go anywhere.
Correct. But you see, if you look at the Gravenberch thing, if you believe that Liverpool were looking at this since April, right? If Liverpool have an inkling, or if they've had a conversation with Salah and says, you're not going, and he says, well, look, if that offer's on the table next year, I want to be given the opportunity, fine. Liverpool now have 12 or 10 months or whatever it is to go and sort it. I think that's absolutely fine. But not now. You can't. You can't. There's no amount of money to put in the bank to put your season in jeopardy. Kev, how are you feeling? And do you think that will happen in the next 12 days?
I think the noise is going to be around Mo Salah from now until the day he leaves Liverpool. This conversation about him going to the Saudi League is not going to go away. It's going to be every window. It's going to be non-stop. I think if anything was going to happen, it was going to happen when we were able to react to it. The fact that we turned down 150 million is fair enough. That's fine. We'll have to see what they're going to offer again in January, because they'll come back in January with another offer. See where the club is. See where how the league is going, and see what money they put up on the table. But at the end of the day, this must be like what it's like to be a PSG fan and having the conversations around Mbappe every single window all the time. It feels like the club will probably make him an offer early next year to extend. If he wants to extend, fine. If he doesn't want to extend, then I think the club will probably look to... They won't let him leave for free. That's 100% certain. They won't allow... In the same way Spurs couldn't let Harry Kane leave for free. They had to get something for him. If Salah won't extend his contract at the club next year, then they'll have to look at trying to do a deal to get the best possible money for him next summer.
And that's
but
fine.
They had the rest of this. They had the rest of this year to start looking and analysing players,
and probably have something in place.
How we're going to move without him.
But that's no problem. And that'd be, if he went next June or next May, June, it'll be 7 years at the club. It's a ridiculous record he has. He doesn't know anyone anything. And at the end of the day, this time next year, he'd have 2 years left on the deal. Is that right?
No, 2025.
So he'd have a year left on his deal next year. So that's the sweet spot where you go, we're making the decision. It's a bit Harry Kane-ish, you're right. And there's no problem there. But like Emmet said, if they're serious about it, you come in on June the 1st and go, we want Mo Salah. Do you know what I mean?
The other thing as well, I was going to say, before Sean comes in there 1 sec, anything that we do get in for him next summer is straight off the balance sheets, as if you were selling a whole-grown player. Because he's pure profit now, because his contract is already, his original contract, his first contract, the money to Roma is all paid. So anything that we get in for Mo Salah next summer is pure profit. So it frees up so many options for us for the next 5 years that you can do what we did with Coutinho.
Exactly, Kev.
Next year, when we have a Virgil, we might have a Virgil issue as well.
Sorry, Sean, before you say it, I want to ask you a question, right? So, one, do you think that will happen in the next 5 days? And two, do you think they're actually serious? Because I think this has been... Now, what I mean is that I know they're serious, but by going in on these dates to try do it, right, makes me think this is just an unsettling thing they're trying to do. Knowing in the future they might get it done, but and this call me paranoid, but they've targeted Liverpool a fucking lot here. Do you know what I mean? They're not banging on Newcastle's door for fucking any players. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, because it's the same crowd, but you're naive to think that Mo Salah and his people haven't had conversations and given sort of awards to them that are saying, look, if you can sort out at Liverpool, we'll go and we'll take that deal. There's no doubt about it, because they don't go in unless... No player has rejected them yet after agreeing a fee with a club. No player has really turned around and said... There's been players who turned around and said, I don't even want your offer. I genuinely reckon that there's a deal already done. And in a way, saying in a gentleman's agreement sort of way, where I'd imagine Klopp's probably just turned around to Mo last week and said, look, listen, we can't let you go now because there's no time in this window to get the player we want. We have him. Liverpool would have been scouting Mo's replacement for the last 2 or 3 years, believe it or not, because that's normally how clubs operate. And they're probably saying to him, look, we understand that, and Klopp even said the contracts are just different. They're different, and it's what changed everything. It's the contracts that they're offering players where players can't really say no. Because it's not that I hate the term fucking life-changing money. We're talking about multi-millionaires now, but it's just money that you simply cannot say no to. So people in the chat saying Mbappe fucked him up. Mbappe was never going to go there. Let's be honest. Mbappe is
that was PSG trying to get that money back for what they owed of Mbappe.
I'd imagine that Liverpool and the SPL, which is who they're having the conversation with, by the way, they're not talking to the club. They're actually talking to the PIF. They're talking to the governing body. They're the one who was sanctioning the deal. I'd imagine Liverpool were like, right, he's not going now because you've come in too late and we can't replace him. You bet your bollocks if they were bidding 200 million 2 weeks ago. Salah's probably gone. As much as people don't like to hear that, Salah is probably gone because people won't like hearing this. The model that this club have adapted and have made work for them is solely based off business like this happening. This is just a scale larger than you can imagine. Mo Salah is a brilliant footballer. He's the best Premier League footballer Liverpool have had, I'd say. The most impactful player. Is he irreplaceable? Everyone in the chat will tell you yeah or no. I would say yeah. Liverpool with 200 million or however much they managed to get from in the end will be able to replace him. And I'm using the Moneyball term here in the aggregate in terms of buying players with that money who can improve your team across the board, whether it's a top of the pops centre back coming in and a 6. The same way they replace Coutinho with Van Dijk and Alisson. There's ways to make your team better. It doesn't have to be a direct right winger. You could throw Jarrod Bowen in there and you'll score enough goals that Nunez, Gakpo, Jota and Diaz can supplement. I don't think Liverpool... I think if Salah got injured, I don't think we'd be short of goals. Put it that way. They will look at this thinking, this is an opportunity for us to cash in on a depreciating asset, because that's what he is. I know it's just matter of fact. And we'll go again in the summer and we'll take our time and we'll make sure that we've all our ducks in a row and that player is willing to join us and come on board. And if we're back in the Champions League, it'll make the job even easier because, again, you're able to get the top talent in and pay them the required money. Any deal happening in the next 7 days is literally a couple of things have to happen. I reckon Saudi might even have to go up as far as 250 million. And on top of that, Mo is going to have to kick up stink. And I just don't see that happening.
No.
I really don't. And as much as a dickhead his agent can be, I think he's a dickhead. People love him because he's. I think I think his agent is a prick, to be honest with you. And my worry always was that he was going to be a fucking major thorn if someone like Madrid or Barca ever came in for him. But it hasn't been the case. And I don't think the agent is pushing him to take the move. Although it's probably really, really beneficial for the agent to take that money. But
it's not like it's a one-time offer. You see,
it looks like Klopp said. We go off what Klopp said without being hypothetical. He said he's been in the leadership meetings all week, and he's 100% committed, and he's interested in what I'm saying, and he's engrossed in what I'm saying. And Szoboszlai comes out today saying he wants to stay. Look, if Salah never leaves and he sees out his contract, I don't care where he goes because he owes Liverpool absolutely nothing. But I think you're mad if you think Liverpool will pass up the opportunity in the summer not to cash in on him.
But that's the thing. Like Bejan says, Gav, where are we assuming Mo will want out after the season? Let's say we are successful. Won't Mo want to go back into the Champions League with us? That's exactly what I'm saying, Bejan.
It'll be the club that decide.
The point. It's not even the club. I think the point I'm trying to make is that I think he wants to play all the big games, right? But it's £1 million a week or whatever. It's fucking phenomenal money. And I know they're multi-millionaires, but at the end of the day, like, we're all out there to make as much money as we can in the career we have before we fucking croak it and leave it to our family or whatever it is. All I'm saying is that in the next 5 days, I can't see anything happen regardless of what money it is, because I don't think, like Seany said, I don't think he'll kick it up, right? And cause fuss. But at the same time, the Saudis, his agent, the player, and Liverpool Football Club are thinking, hold on, we can actually make this very amicable in 12 months' time. No problem. He's not going to lose any of his aura in Saudi Arabia or the Muslim world in the next 12 months. Do you know what I mean? It gives Liverpool a chance to get who he wants to replace him. It gives the Saudis a chance to actually get what could be perceived by them a fairer deal. All right, and Salah still gets the sort of money that's being talked about now. I just don't think right now offering that sort of money on transfer deadline day,
That's stupid.
It feels a bit more unsettling than actual. We think we could do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, did he genuinely think they're coming in on deadline day with 150 million, 50 million of which is add-ons, and saying, yeah, here you go, take Mo Salah on deadline day? Liverpool, like, you know what I mean? Why would you do that? But I think in 12 months' time, if you could sit down and go, he's a year left, he doesn't want to extend, he's being offered that money, let's take it. Let's go and take it now. It doesn't get messy for another year, like Kev said, and every single Friday Klopp's being asked about Mo Salah's future. So it's one of those where the next 5 days could be interesting, but I think the sound coming out is one where I don't think it'll happen. Colin Cavan says, just move on, this is boring. Well, just turn off then, Colin. Do you know what I mean? Just knock off if it's boring. Do you know what I mean? It's like when Coronation Street is shy. I just turn it off. Anyway, we're going. We're out of here. Because Colin's fucking annoyed me now. Anyway, I'm only messing, Colin. I'm only buzzing at you.
You're ashamed to the Cavan name.
Yeah, fucking Mark Cavanagh's in there underneath you, your brother. And I don't think your brother's happy with you, Colin. But anyway, anything else before we go, Emma?
No.
And hurry up, because Colin's bored.
All good. Just raging that it's international break. Like Seany, you just want to see games after games after games. The more these lads play together, the better they're going to get. And I think they were excellent today. So it's exciting times ahead, I think.
Okay. Kev, anything else before we go?
Some good international football coming up. We're away to France. Look forward to see what Evan Ferguson can do in a green shirt.
He's probably scored 4.
Make a name for himself. But yeah, no, there's plenty of good football coming up. And yeah, the Ireland-France game would be interesting because by all accounts, Konate is in the French squad. So,
okay. Oh, all right.
Might not be far away.
Anything else before we go, Seany?
No. Hope you have Alex Colin if you have all by the way.
Oh, Colin, he won't do that again. He might do it again.
I'll be at the end of your bed asking you who's bored now.
Don't forget to tune in tomorrow, Colin. And if it's boring, let the lads know.
Change your name now next week coming into the conference because you're going to be absolutely eviscerated.
Yeah, changing username as we speak. We're only buzzing off you, Colin. It's all good. Anyway, that has been the Fatback 4. Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 0. Really, really good chat. We've ran to an hour and 23-ish minutes, which is 23 minutes more than we were meant to, but I was really enjoying it, and that's all that matters, to be perfectly honest with you. Thanks to Emma. Thanks
Colin
to Kev.
Wasn't, though.
What?
Remember.
Colin wasn't.
Wasn't enjoying it.
No, Colin wasn't enjoying it. Bored he was. Thanks to Emma. Thanks to Kev. Thanks to Seany. Thanks to Colin. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.
Colin